I've been dirt bike mad since 11 when I got my first motorbike. But my first Finke memory, I think, was in about 2005, seeing Jason Hill cross the finish line and take the win. And ever since then, I've had the Finke bug. So in 2008, I did the Finke Desert Race on the GHR Honda team with the high ride package. It was good. Got to ride with Ben Grabham and Jason Hill. We went and did some pre-running, I think, on the Thursday at Deepwell Motocross Track, which was a big eye-opener. And then got to see Hilly hit the 40k dune on the way home, just absolutely launched it. So 2008 was the year that it basically rained like crazy, and Prologue was just like a mud race. So my Prologue, I prologued 120th. I really didn't want to crash in the mud, and I really didn't like riding the mud a great deal. So day one was it was good, no dust. I rode. We were moving through the pack, me and Alice guy, until I crashed at the 160 kilometre mark. I basically got tank slapped into a corner, knocked myself out. By the time I come to, people had already picked my bike up, started it, were getting me back on the bike and pointing me in the direction of the track, and I was still didn't know where I was at or what was going on. So then day two, I was pretty knocked around and felt like shit. And so I come home in 119th. I remember after the race, I just said to Mum and Dad, fuck this race, this is stupid, I'll never do it again. So that thought pattern lasted probably 4 weeks, and then I was full back to obsessing about Finke. Bought a new bike. I had a bike in Darwin that I was racing when I'd go to trade school. I was training, riding heaps, planning to go down pre-running a month early, just back to full Finke obsession. Even looking at moving to Alice Springs to ride more Finke. It was just, unbelievable. It was May 2009 when I had my accident. I'd been training and was pretty keen to get down there, aiming for a top 50 result this year. It was 4 days before I was meant to go down to Alice to start pre-running. I was just doing some suspension testing on some rough sand whoops on a beach. I kind of lost control, got the tank slaps at 100, 110, and was thrown off the bike, landed head first, and then bounced onto my ass and folded like a pretzel. I landed lying in the water, with the water kind of lapping up to me. And luckily Mum and Dad were there, and Dad had to come over, and we basically had to pull me up out of the water, which was probably the worst thing you could do with a spinal patient, but with the tide coming in and crocodile country, Northern Territory, that was probably a better option than floating out to sea and being lunch. So because of how remote we lived, it wasn't until 4 o'clock the next morning that I actually got to Darwin Hospital. They did MRIs and CTs, and as soon as they realised what was going on, they basically put me on a private jet down to Adelaide. I didn't get down there until Thursday night, so it was almost 26 hours after accident before I was going to have the surgery. The first surgery didn't go that good. After I woke up from the first surgery, every time someone would touch the bed, I'd just be screaming in pain. No one kind of worked it out why, and then you could tell the nurses kind of thought I was just sooking. And finally, after a day of just being in absolute agony, they did some scans and found out one of the screws had been put in incorrectly and was touching my spinal cord. Pretty much that paralysed my right leg. So I guess like anything, people make mistakes. Unfortunately, you don't expect it from doctors, but that mistake, I'll live with for the rest of my life. So with my right leg was 100% paralysed. There was 1 or 2 muscles that would work very lightly. My left leg, everything was kind of asleep and slowly come back over the next few weeks, but I was so drugged out I couldn't tell you much of the first 3 weeks, but there are some funny stories in there I'll have to share in another episode. So I was transferred to the Princess Alexandra in Brisbane for my rehab. Just so I had more family in Brisbane and it was easier for mum and dad to kind of get to me rather than Adelaide. So I spent the next 4 months there learning to walk. I'll cover more of that in episode 2.